In the early days with the recession, it was a case of liquidity and finance and how can we get through this. Our customers are disappearing, customers that are left are not very viable, there could be bad debts, etc. So it's a case of how we manage that. So it was looking at investment to help their cash flow. Now it's a case of, well, what can we do opportunity-wise in research and development, look at new products, look at how we can place those in the marketplace and sort of transfer the knowledge into the business.
The level of activity which I'm seeing probably in the last 6 months around Greater Manchester is leading the way right the way across the region. And things are going to take a while to get back to historic levels of business, but there are some fantastic businesses out there that are now well placed to move forward. I think we've discussed the fact that not all businesses are going to be fit enough to survive, but out of that there will be opportunities for entrepreneurs and for people who have a proper plan and proper support.
Well, in this region, it's been said earlier, I mean, nuclear and media are the key issues at the moment in this part of the world. Also, I think the professional community supporting those industries can prosper. What Manchester has, and it's already been touched on, is tradition, and what brings tradition is experience and robustness.
We've said all the way through and before the recession, as long as you've got a good, strong, robust business plan that says where you're going in 3 years' time and how you're going to get there, and you've got good support financially with a bookkeeper, an accountant, a good bank, etc., a good FD, then obviously cash is king.
The reality is that the cash-rich companies are the companies that are re-employing people and are expanding, and they will take up the slack.
They're the ones, the cash-rich are the ones that are going to be sort of leading the recovery.
And the larger picture, in my view, is that we should be supporting established stronger businesses or the perceived stronger businesses rather than a one-size-fits-all solution.
We're certainly beginning to see an increase in the level of sort of acquisition deals. I'm talking at the sort of sub 10 million enterprise value, where the first half of 2009 was relatively flat.
You know, we get into this creative destructionism, as it were, where, you know, as a business goes out, somebody else may come along and swoop up certain assets of that, and some of those people may go into other businesses and help those other businesses grow. So I think that's the key approach to us, is to make something good out of something that is unfortunately bad happening at the moment, rather than saying, oh, we're not going to help those businesses that are going bust, as it were.
And what we've seen during the last 12 months is we've been in dialogue with a number of the smaller private equity people who have got money to invest for the right opportunity. And I'm talking about sort of the £1 million and a half pounds, which traditionally we've found very difficult to find. So again, I think there's been some sort of rectification that these guys have got money to lend for the right opportunity.
The larger deals that happened, and we were doing some large deals out of Manchester, were very much supported by banks and acquisition finance, which acquisition finance is not there as much as it used to be. So it is the smaller size equity finance deals where the banks don't necessarily need to get involved, which we're seeing happening more and more. And again, that's often led by strong entrepreneurial individuals that have pulled together management teams or other investors to lead those.
The leadership and the management is key to certainly success in the future and sort of growth and innovation and so on, isn't it? What sort of examples and what do you find in terms of how important that is to you?
Well, it's very important, both innovation and leadership and management, and it's actually there is public funding again through the North West Development Agency and others going into both of those areas. So for example, there are mentoring programs out at the moment, which is very useful because you're getting people obviously to share their experience. There's leadership and management programs which is aimed obviously at the leaders and management levels of businesses. And obviously innovation, because innovation is really important for the future of any business and obviously for the economy of the northwest of England.
When we've hit what we've hit in the last sort of 15 months or so, you're really finding out who are the good leaders and those who aren't. And as you say, it's the leadership as much as anything. You can sustain a dip in sales, you can sustain a dip in margins even. Obviously different combinations of those will bring different problems, but ultimately it's down to the decision making at the top.
When our money goes in, it is going in with management support as well, be it whether it's in the form of grants or whether in forthcoming venture capital funding. You will see that necessarily alongside it, whereas I think in the previous boom that we've had, there's been maybe a little bit more money first and a focus on other things too late in the game.
And organisations are now, as you say, getting back to basics and saying, well, maybe I do need a business plan for 3 years and an operational plan and look at my cash flow forecast. But then also, what could I take out of the business that's non-added value that'll help me get that bottom line to maybe break even or a profit?
The prospects for Manchester recovering growth are, and we've done some initial, this is really kind of initial research, is that it will regain its employment quicker than most other UK cities because of its scale and its breadth across a range of things. And I think that's a really positive position for Manchester to be in, more so than some other cities in the UK.
We're getting a lot more organisations looking at being proactive rather than reactive. So they're looking outside and saying, well, what's happening with legislation? What's happening with the economy? What's happening with new product developments? And looking at like the nuclear industry, etc. So there are organisations that are, as you say, welcoming in business support and saying, right, how can I take my business forward? What are the opportunities? And in any recession, as we said, there are opportunities. So they are tapping into all the support services that the North West Development Agency have, the cluster organisations that support each different individual sector. The coal face, you have organisations that think, well, I'm struggling in the UK and I want to go and export. Can we get some help? Can we get some grants? And we always sort of ask why 5 times to get down to the root cause, and sometimes it could be that their home market they've not tapped into, they need to do some more market research, and there's opportunities there. And the other sort of scale is, well, there is a company that could export and they've not really thought about it, but it's getting them to understand that there's a lot of time and effort and resource that has to go behind that. One of the programmes that's a fantastic programme, UKTI, Passport to Export programme and Global Growth, has been really useful in getting organisations to look at ease and impact of where they could go for opportunities to export, research the marketplace, work with consulates around the world, and that's been very successful. I've not had a company that's gone through that programme that's not increase their export opportunities, and then the learning that they have there they can bring back into their UK base as well. Obviously we work quite closely with supply chains, and it's what the primes are doing. If you look at aerospace, what's happening with the new development of aircraft with Airbus and Boeing, and when they stop and people stop ordering, then the supply chain gets hit. And you have the same sort of instance with the automotive industry. Obviously they've been hit very hard, so some companies go down to a 4-day a week or a 3-day a week. Obviously what we try and do with Business Link is say, right, if we've got a business that's very labour intensive, can we move them up the chain and get more machine intensive and go to knowledge intensive businesses? And it's really saying, right, have you got a good, strong, robust business plan to get you through this?